I have not seen this interrogation of Sarah Boone, so this is why I'm doing it this way. I also don't know what they have at this point in the interview, so this will be interesting.
I'm going to have you sit in the green chair that doesn't move. Appreciate you coming in.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to ask you about these whenever we have a moment.
Sure. So obviously, he received his autopsy. So I'm going to read you your rights again because we have to talk about that. And since I'm talking about the incident, we just have to do it, just like we did yesterday.
Protocol.
Just like we did yesterday. Remember, I read you the...
All right, two things. As soon as she said autopsy, you can see Sarah's the depth of her respiration increase. So that's stressful for her. She's probably wondering what they're going to find out. Also, the officer did a good thing here by saying, remember I read you your rights yesterday? And Sarah agrees on camera so that later she can't say, oh, well, nobody read me my rights the first time I talked to them. The other thing that's interesting here is, like, there's a contradiction. They're being nice, thanks for coming in, we're going to read your rights, it's just we have to, real casual. But the positioning of the detectives is confrontational. So this doesn't look like detectives trying to get a confession. So something's, I don't know. It's not quite right. So maybe they know something. Let's see.
The rights, your rights, yeah. So it's the exact same thing, but since I'm asking you follow-up questions, I need to read them to you, okay?
Sure.
All right, so you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer before and during questioning without charge. If you cannot afford a lawyer and want one can be provided for you before questioning without charge. Has anyone threatened you or promised you anything to get you to talk to me?
No.
And do you understand what I just read you?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So this morning we went to his autopsy, and we were informed of some injuries that he has by the doctor. So so he's got scratch marks to his back.
I know what that's from.
Okay. And it's called a contusion. Do you know what a contusion is? So, like, basically you're getting hit, and then, you know, you get a mark from it. You'll get bruising. Like someone hit you or something like that. It's called a contusion. So he had some injuries to his left shoulder. He had a cut near his lip. We could see his mouth was a little
I haven't laid a hand on him.
Okay.
Also too, he fell off my son's bike.
Okay.
So I don't know, and he's notorious for running into the wall.
Holy. So I haven't laid a hand on him. Immediately, nobody said she did. Nobody accused her of anything. And then this business of he fell off my son's bike. So was a grown man riding a 9-year-old's bike and running into walls, notorious for running into walls. How many bruises does this guy have, or has he had in the past, from running into the walls? Like, that's the oldest excuse in the book. We've got running into walls, hit herself with the door. She has a black eye because the doorknob hit her in the face. Like, those three, they got to be more creative than this. This is the oldest, one of the oldest excuses in the book. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. She just told them a whole bunch right there without realizing that she did.
Or the haltery. That's why.
Okay. What about the scratches? Because there's also sex.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's also like a scratch on the back of his neck, kind of going, but it's going straight across.
I have no idea what that's from.
And they're all recent. They occurred recently. It wasn't something that occurred post or that occurred a week ago or 2 days ago, 3 days ago, they definitely occurred, you know, the night leading up to when he was.
In all honesty, we have not gotten into it.
Okay.
That's why, like, the only thing I thought you guys were going to ask me about was...
So, let's see. We have not gotten into it. I hear there's a possibility she may claim battered spouse. If she continues to insist that everything was fine, we haven't gotten into it, she's going to make it hard for herself. Now, mind you, at this time, the time of this interview, she doesn't know what her defense is going to be. She hasn't talked to a lawyer yet, I don't think, although she's been given that right and opportunity. So let's see where this goes.
Which I was going to be honest with you anyway, are the scratch marks on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I have no idea what it is. No idea what it is. Nonetheless, I've had my son over at the house too, so...
Well, your son was there when? When was he last there?
Oh, gosh.
My understanding he was there like last Tuesday?
She just redirected. Sarah just redirected. And she's saying something that's absolutely unbelievable. I have no idea how he got those injuries. The injuries happened within the last day. She saw him the night before. If there were injuries to him, she would have seen them. And she would have been able to say, oh yeah, I know what that is, just like she did with the scratch marks. Oh yeah, he got the split lip from whatever. She would have said.
I don't know if it was Tuesday, but yes, he was there last week, so...
Well, we're talking about Sunday. Yeah. We're just talking about what occurred Sunday. Because like I said, the injuries they occurred within that time period.
So you're talking about day before yesterday?
Sunday leading into Monday. You called us yesterday at 1, but the incident, you guys were painting and stuff the night prior.
Correct.
So we're talking about Sunday and then into Monday.
I'm thoroughly confused because we had a good time sitting on the back porch having wine and smoking a couple of cigarettes and then decided to go inside and literally paint, do puzzles, and play and listen to music. That's why nobody got out of sorts. This is what's mind.
Nobody got out of sorts. She can't pretend later that somebody did. She wasn't scared. Nobody got out of sorts.
Blowing to me. Like, I have no clue. Nobody laid a hand on anybody.
He also had, like on the left side of his forehead, he had basically bruising, and on like his head and his skull.
I have no idea.
As if something hit him.
I
considered
have not
force
touched him.
trauma.
I have not touched him. I have not touched him.
Nobody said she did. And notice this gesture, it's like she's praying. Please believe me, I didn't do anything. I have no idea. Watson thinks I'm doing hand signals.
How would you get those injuries?
Tell me and we'll both know. I have not touched him.
Yesterday, when we took photographs of your overall body, and they did the buccal swabs, did they go under your fingernails?
No.
Okay. Are you willing to let us
Absolutely.
swab underneath your fingernails?
Go for it.
Okay.
I have no idea, and I don't want to seem out of sorts, but I have no idea. We had a good day. It was a good day. We've had good days lately, even considering everything that's going on with our jobs and life in general and ex-wives and everything. It's been good.
It's been good. Remember, she keeps saying this. What are you doing? You can't do that.
Yeah,
I don't
you said
even
the
know.
last physical was probably, you said, I think, what, a month ago? Where you got the injury, right? You said that was a
I'll
month
say
ago?
a few weeks, give or take, yeah.
A few weeks. That was the last, like, physical altercation between the two of you? Yeah, you said a month ago he hit you with a curtain rod.
Yeah, with a curtain rod. That's why I can't believe you guys didn't take that either.
Wow.
Like, we've been good. I don't know.
Did she just say, I can't believe you guys didn't take that either, referring to the curtain rod? That's odd. That has nothing to do with this, does it? She's saying a few weeks ago that there was an incident, and hitting somebody with a curtain rod is pretty serious. That's pretty violent. It's the use of a weapon again. Both these people were at risk, both of them. And by the way, this will help bolster her claims of battered spouse if that's what she's doing. I should also note that this incident didn't happen on this night, this curtain rod incident.
No, it's since the last time he got out of jail. Like, we've been good, and he's been having his classes and seeing his probation officer, who's amazing. So.
What do you mean by good? What's your definition of good?
The probation officer?
No, you said you guys have been good. What's your definition?
I've been good. I don't think you all understand. He comes at me all the time. He comes at me. So it's
the question, what's your definition of good? That's actually a good question. And she says, I've been good. I haven't done anything wrong. The other thing this suggests is that maybe she wasn't good before. Now, we know that's the case. And so she's saying she's been good. So is she suggesting he hasn't really, or he has? I don't think she thinks about what makes sense and what doesn't. I think her focus is on just protecting herself and making sure that she looks good.
either I flee or try to go upstairs and go to sleep. That's usually what it is. And I don't know if you talk to Brian about any of that, but most of the time when I flee, I go over there. So.
Right, but you're saying that you guys have been good, and when I asked...
All right. Just in terms of history, I think I've said this before. She's saying either I flee or I go upstairs. If she's able to flee or go upstairs and he doesn't continue to go after her, that tells you something about the dynamics when the two of them are into it, where he's not pursuing her in those moments. The reason that's important is because it shows that she has an option, that she can leave and he won't stop her. Now, that doesn't mean that's going to be the way it is all the time. And again, we're talking about one particular night, and there's been no allegation that anybody got out of sorts, that they got into it, that things weren't good. Quite the opposite.
To you yesterday, the last incident that you could remember was the curtain rod incident, which you said was a month ago. So,
give or take.
Right. So what do you mean by he comes after you? Like,
he gets belligerently drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you all have looked through my phone yet and seen any of the pictures and the videos that I have taken.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I started documenting everything.
Okay.
So you all will see in my pictures bloody fingers, split foreheads. He split my nose. I've got this.
Right.
I don't know if Brian told you about it, where I had to have I had one really bad surgery, but then it got really, 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 really bad, where I had to go like 4 or 5 more times afterwards for them to tend to it, from him poking me in the back of the leg.
Right.
So it's...
Then why are you still with him?
Everybody asks me that. When I tell you guys this, I really love him, like I do, and I feel like I can...
Clearly, they're not after a confession or for her to disclose anything. I mean, why are you with him is a terrible question to ask a survivor. Now, it depends on the purpose of the interview. That was brutal. Her response, where there's an immediate emotion, and I think that's genuine, what you're seeing here, that's really common. People trapped in this, they do love the other person. They have hope that things will change. A lot of times, they don't want to leave the person. They just want the violence to stop. So this actually goes in her favor.
Help him. Like, I feel like I could help him, which I did, because he came a really long way from where he was in Philadelphia to moving back to here and to dealing with everything else that he's been dealing with. Mm-hmm. I've really helped him. I've bailed him out of jail, 3 times. I've gone to
So it's common for victims to, or I think just, anybody who's in love with someone else or who thinks they're in love with somebody else, I want to help him. There's this sort of rescuing thing that goes on, this codependence, and it's really unhealthy. It never works. It's not good for either party. Being the rescuer and the person needing to be saved puts the rescuer in a position where you can feel superior in a way. You can feel like a hero or a savior, and then you don't have to actually look at yourself. So if you find yourself in a situation or in a relationship where you have the urge to rescue, to be a martyr, it's time to take a step back and look at it. The other part of this rescuing thing is sometimes it's used as a way to control. At this very moment, her emotion, it sounds very typical. I hate using that word because everybody's an individual. It's just very common. But sometimes you see, actually a lot of times you see offenders and abusers who go on and on about how they're helping the victim when really they're controlling the victim.
Every single hearing and every single arraignment, everything that I did for him, gone to see all his public defenders, go to the state, I've gone to the state. I did everything for him because I'm trying to help him, because I had hope.
So she's crying now. She had hope, and I believe her. She wanted this relationship, what she thought it could have been, instead of what it was, and not accepting what it was. The other thing is that when she's saying she went to every hearing and she did all these things, if you listen closely, there's a little bit of anger in there. I think she feels owed, and there's a bit of a grievance there, and a sense of being owed can help an offender justify or pave the way to justification for behaviors. Now, those behaviors might be okay and they might not be.
Open him. And he was trying. He was really trying. And then he starts to think about things, and I think he gets overwhelmed, and then it's like, the next thing I know, he's drinking. So it's like, oh man, I know where this is going to go, so I'm going to go upstairs and read a book, or I'm going to go for a bike ride, or I'm going to do something else, where I don't want to drink.
Two things here. She's saying that she can tell. And you know what? Victims of IPV can tell. They know it's coming. They feel that tension build up. They know what's coming. And she also knows, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to go for a bike ride. I need to go upstairs. And he doesn't stop her. And the fact that he doesn't stop her, that she has the freedom to go for that bike ride, or she has the ability to go upstairs, that tells us what her options are and are not. She says, I don't want to drink. I think even if we didn't know she was an alcoholic, that would tell us right there.
I don't want to drink. The occasional wine, whatever, or if it's a weekend, that's when you have a good time. You don't have to wake up the next day. I have to wake up the next day and do things. I have to tend to Lucas. I have to take him to school. I have all this stuff to do. He doesn't know how to.
She's talking about how she's responsible. She has to get up and tend to the child, except we know from her ex-husband that she doesn't. And she's terribly unreliable. Is she presenting herself in the way she wants to appear and that's it? Or is this also the way she wants to see herself? And she's also comparing this, like, I have responsibilities. I don't want to drink because I need to get up. But the victim, wow, that's a different story. She's all good and he's bad, according to her.
I guess maintain himself where I can do 50 things at once and still know the 50 things more prior that I need to get done.
he can't process like that. He didn't process like that. So he would literally, not literally, but have smoke coming out of his ears. So the next thing you know, he doesn't want to deal with it. I'm going to go get something to drink. So the majority of the time, I would hang out outside. Or
Hold on. He doesn't want to deal with it. But all along, we've seen her not wanting to deal with things. Interesting. And she says, hang out outside. That may well be true. But again, she knows that she has a choice and she knows how to do that. So on this night, the night in question, if everything is good and fine and wonderful and all of that, and there's been no mention so far of anything going sideways, although I don't know what's going to come out. And when I say going sideways, I mean there's been no mention of him coming after her or about to be violent or anything. We might still hear that. She knows what her options are. She knows she can get out of there.
or do something else because I don't want to drink. And every time, his job broke his heart. And it made me sad because he had so much pride in his job. And the store that he took care of so much totally went downhill.
Mm-hmm.
And
All right. His job and broke his heart and all that. That's fake. Look closely at her face and listen to her. Listen to her tone. That part's fake. She's making it about him. And it's about her.
that broke his heart because he had put so much work and effort into fixing it up. And his manager was awful and basically gave up on all of the employees. So I think that had a huge bearing on why he would drink so much. His ex-wife is bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
She was
She's saying that had a huge bearing on why he would drink so much. But that job loss was very recent. That hardware store was just closing, as far as I understand. And the ex-wife is bonkers. Well, what's a set of excuses without a bonkers ex? I mean, come on. The ex, it has nothing to do with this night. They're letting her talk, which is good.
all over him all the time. Send me money, send me money, send me money. How can I send you money when I don't have a job? And he's still trying to take care of me and Lucas by paying a bill here or there, getting some groceries. So he always had...
Trying to take care of her by paying a bill here or there. Do you know people who sort of give you a compliment, but they slide in an insult in there? So you're going, how do I react to this one? Because it's like this passive aggressive thing. She just did that. Like he didn't pull his weight. He just paid a bill here and there. She got all the tricks down.
something on his mind, which is why, again, I got the puzzles and the paint to try to get him off of it so we don't have a drink, or he doesn't have a drink. So when you all see my phone,
She got the puzzles and the paint. I wondered about this. This was so important to her. She did it to make him do the puzzles and the paint and to make it, according to her, so that he doesn't have a drink. You know what? They were both drinking, right? She's describing, they had a few glasses of wine and they were doing artwork. Now she's saying the reason that for the artwork and the puzzles was so that he wouldn't drink. Well, which is it, Sarah? And again, pointing at him so he doesn't drink because he's the problem. I don't have a problem. He's the problem. I suspect she was trying to control how things went. She was trying to control the evening. She was trying to control what they did and didn't do.
you can see all of the damage he has done to me and the videos of him smashing my television because he's belligerently drunk. Where most of the time, I just don't want to be there. And I try to help him. I try to calm him down. Eventually, he just passes out.
Well, yesterday it made it sound like you guys were just drinking like a glass or two. Like, yeah, you obviously had the bottle, but you,
It was
I mean,
the
you
weekend.
told me on the, yeah, but you told me on recording, like, that you were not drunk, he was not drunk, you guys were having a good time.
I can't get drunk. Number one, I do not want to get drunk. I don't like being non-compos mentis, having my wits about myself. I don't like feeling out of control. So,
I'm just,
Aside from the fact that she's lying, she's showing us somewhere in her, she knows she really has a drinking problem. She really doesn't want to get drunk. She doesn't want to be dealing with this. This is hard for her. And she doesn't like to be out of it and out of control. But this, again, goes to mental state. She can't claim that she wasn't out of her wits and then later claim, oh my gosh, I didn't know what I was doing, or I was so drunk I went off and passed out. She's trying to make all the arguments in her favor. If she would take responsibility for some of it, she might, it might be easier to defend herself in court. I'm really interested in what's going to happen at trial, what the defense lawyer is going to put forth.
saying you're making it sound like he's a raging alcoholic today, and yesterday I was kind of asking you those questions and you're like a little defensive, like, no, we're not alcoholics.
I'm not.
We are not, you know. But
Denial.
You guys were both sober on Sunday, to your knowledge, because when I said you went and passed out, you were like, no, I didn't pass out, I just fell asleep. So now it's kind of like, what is it? Were you guys drinking and it got out of hand and
no.
it got physical?
No.
Or is it...
Sunday was one of the better days that we have had in quite some time. He's dancing with my dog. You can see that too on the pictures, him loving the dog. He loves the dog and dancing around, having a good time, and just being happy kind of thing. He doesn't know, I can get like maybe 2-3 glasses of wine and I'll be fine. But I have to have my wits about myself because I don't know what to expect.
Well, let's talk about Sunday. What was Sunday? How were you, like, how many glasses of wine did you have? How many glasses of wine did he have? The bottle was gone. I mean, I don't know if you poured any out. Yes.
No, that was from previous.
I have to have my wits about me because I don't know what to expect. I mean, we know there's a pattern of IPV and that she is also a victim. I'm not discounting that at all. She's telling us that there's always that sort of undercurrent, that knowing, this could all go bad any minute, whether the alcoholism takes hold and she does get really drunk or not. That's not necessarily contradictory to what she says, because addictions are brutal.
You said that there was a half bottle left
Yeah,
over.
about this much.
And then that you had well, I don't even know how the wine, how'd you guys get the wine for Sunday?
I'm guessing he went to Publix.
Does he leave the house and you stay home, or do you go to Publix?
Sometimes I'll go with him.
Okay. Did you go with him Sunday to
No.
Publix?
So most of the time what happens is, because the convenience store where we get cigarettes is here, and then Publix literally is cattywampus to it.
Okay.
So what he'll do is he'll start, go by Publix, and then on the way back, catch the convenience store.
Okay.
So
Is that what he did Sunday?
I'm guessing that's what he did, because the next thing I know, he's walking in with a bottle.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's him trying to be nice, so I don't have to go out and do it. Plus, there's stuff that around the house that I had to take care of. So that's usually what will happen. Or I'm folding laundry and he'll go run out and do whatever.
Okay. So, where were you guys at on drunkenness, not drunkenness on Sunday? You told us you weren't drunk.
No, I was not drunk.
Right.
I was not drunk. So with him, I don't know. I know when it's like, oh, okay, man, where I have told him, slow down. It's starting to catch up with you. Slow down. Slow down. And another thing, too, is I don't like listening to music with him because he gets too involved in the music, and the music that he listens to is a little rough around the edges, and, it makes me
The detective asked her a question. How drunk were both of you on the night in question? And she's not answering the question.
He's fractious listening to his music, so I kept asking him, let's just you and me talk. You and me will just be the ones that are talking, which was fine, because, I mean, we were playing with the dog, whatever, and then it's like, okay, now let's do the painting. We just did the puzzle, took a break, now let's do this. Sure enough, sat down, we're sitting in there talking, laughing, talking about new movies, we're watching movie trailers while we're doing painting.
He wants to listen to his music. She doesn't like it. She directs what they're going to do. Don't listen to your music. Talk to me. Here we're going to do puzzles. What a level of control over somebody else.
And all that other stuff. So it's still background noise to him, because I think that's what he's used to, is having background noise. Where me, I can sit in here all day with not a peep. But he always has to have some kind of background noise, which I didn't mind because the trailers were cool. And he was interested in showing them to me, getting excited about movies that were out or upcoming.
Okay.
So
On your laptop you're talking about?
Mhm.
Like, okay.
And I mean, and then it was.
But you said it was a good day, like, you guys didn't have any conversations about your relationship, you guys didn't go down, like, the rabbit hole, like, had too many to drink, and you guys start getting...
Nope. When I tell you this, it made me so happy that he actually listened to what I had to say, with just, we'll get through it. This will be fine. It's just, it's a small hurdle that you and I together will get through, because...
I'm talking about the money, jobs,
daughters,
stress,
yes.
nothing
No.
relationship-wise, though, like, no issues, like, did you guys have a conversation about your relationship, or was it just about...
Just
like,
what's
the stresses.
going on right now.
Got it.
I try to evoke it from him so he gets it off his chest, because I call him the volcano, where eventually he's going to erupt.
Right.
And what he has learned in his classes is to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
which is a huge thing in a relationship,
Right.
where he has been practicing communication. So he actually talks to me about things and unburdens himself. Put it on me. I'll sit there and try and figure it out for you, like I have.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So she's setting herself up as a therapist of sorts. Never do that in relationships. It's terrible. So she knows him, apparently. I mean, by what she's saying, she knows him better than he does and what he needs. And she's trying to evoke it. Now, you can look at this two ways. You could say, hey, listen, she just said he's a volcano, and she may want to evoke a smaller release rather than wait for the big volcanic explosion. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is she's violating boundaries, his boundaries. She wants to go in and invoke what she thinks that he needs to feel or communicate or whatever. He's going to classes and he is making an effort at communication, so that's great. And I'm not saying this guy is pure and wonderful and perfect and all that. I'm looking at this power dynamic where she's actually controlling. And then this, unburden yourself, put it on me. Here we go with the martyr thing again, the savior thing again. Oh, I will take the burden. You know what that does? That sets up you owe me. You owe me. Now, this is what I did for you. I'm willing to give you anything, and now you owe me. You know who did this? Actually, a lot of killers have done this. There was a mass murderer here in Canada who did this, and he felt like he was the woman's therapist and would tell her, be positive and think positive, and this is what you need to do, and this is how relationships are going to be. And he went on a killing rampage. I mean, obviously it wasn't about him helping, it was about being the savior. So this stuff always sets up alarm bells in my head, especially when it's presented as, well, I'll take your burden. Sorry, I'm talking too much.